Burning Abyss is the king of nostalgia. A deck that always finds its way into the meta. This time around, with Seer, Graph, and Tour Guide off the list, Burning Abyss takes it to a whole nother level. Nostalgia at its finest. So nostalgic, I think I've done this before. Burning Abyss is too strong.
There we are, right back into reality. The Burning Abyss strategy is filled with nostalgia, like nostalgia to the brim, and my cup runneth over with this deck. But one thing we have to do is tempt our nostalgia, but not give it the whole thing. I mean, we're not fast and easy. You know, we kind of do our little thing. Sometimes nostalgia is excellent to draw from, but it's not always the reason why you should build a deck. Especially when the strategy is over 6 years old in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course you want to dip into those concepts, but never use it as a basis. Always address the format for what it is now, and in this particular build, you're going to see some things that may not have the flash that you would expect due to nostalgia. It's alright, I'm telling you, this Burning Abyss deck is still too strong. Starting off with the miraculous main board, we run 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Oh man, I just want to take a moment because these are some gorgeous ultimate rare tour guides. I have 6 of them. They kind of just line up like the Power Rangers and stuff like that. You know, that's what they do. Now there is a caveat. Players do feel that Tour Guide is more hittable than the other combos. In actuality, it's just not. Any other combo that Burning Abyss currently has can be hit by the exact same hand traps. Now, hitting Tour Guide does end your turn, but again, so does every other instance of you being hand trapped in the Burning Abyss deck, which is why we opted for a grind based deck as opposed to a huge combo board, because when we do get hand trapped, we don't just want to lose the game. I followed up with 2 copies of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. This is actually the worst one than Tour Guide because not only does it require an extender, if it does get effect veilered, you lose your extender, and of course you still can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And it can still be Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring through the effect of Rhino sending to the graveyard. So it's the exact same way to hit Tour Guide is how you hit Rhino, unfortunately. Next, for the Big Teddy BA monsters, 2 copies of Graph and 2 copies of Seer. This is a long time coming. I haven't seen Seer in Graph at 2 in quite some time, but these are the main core components of the deck. The best thing about this is that now, since we can play multiple copies, opening a Seer or a Graph in our hand isn't the complete end of a combo, and we don't have to go completely out of our way to make the combo work. In essence, if you play the deck correctly, you essentially get 2 opportunities to make a huge combo, one to set up your first board and the second one to go for game. We play 2 copies of Skarm. I've tested it, and Skarm at 2 is nice. You don't want to see this card unless you want to see this card, which is why we play 2, and 2 copies of Farfa. Farfa is amazing at 2 as well. 3 is a little bit too much. 2 is the perfect number, and 2 copies of Libic. Libic's low-key god, because not only is it an extension card and negates your Burning Abyss monster, which allows you to continue on with your Link plays without being inhibited with the Burning Abyss clause of not having monsters that aren't Burning Abyss. For the last Burning Abyss monsters we run was 1 Barbar and 1 Alec. I don't find myself using Alec as much. I think it is a card you could drop. Calcab is completely out of the deck, but Barbar is so good. It works in so many situations where you get just this much more damage that you need. You use Barbar's effect and that's game. There's times where I've even looped Barbar's effect to go for game. Barbar is amazing, especially in time. But that's it for the Burning Abyss monsters. I run a really big engine because, first of all, the Burning Abyss engine would make it a Burning Abyss deck, and secondly, you have so many opportunities to gain all of your Burning Abyss effects to be able to out advantage your opponent. Moving on, I do play not 1 but 2 copies of Absolute King Back Jack. I was only playing 1 copy of this guy. I decided to drop him down, but later changed my mind due to the fact of Back Jack being able to set a free trap card. If you guys didn't know, this is the trap version of Burning Abyss. No PK Fire. I'll explain to you why we don't run PK Fire in a little bit, but Back Jack is just really god. It allows you to extend so further. Anytime you get in a game of grind, Back Jack always comes through in a clutch. We play enough trap cards, really easy to pop off. And then lastly is 3 copies of Effect Veiler for the monsters. Effect Veiler I feel is a mandatory card in this current format just because Predaplant, Vert, Anaconda is being played in abundance. So I made room for the Effect Veilers to be able to stop Vert and essentially stop the Dragoon. So for the spells, it's really unfortunate that I don't have these cards just in. They should be in tomorrow with 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is a godsend in this deck. At first I was playing this card completely wrong. I would send my own cards on my turn, but then I realized that Forbidden Droplet can send already activated trap cards. So in that battle of attrition, when you're popping off with your trap cards and your opponent wants to stop you, you can Forbidden Droplet your trap cards to negate their opponent's monsters, as well as send other monsters on your hand or field to the graveyard to gain their effects. And you guys should already know how Burning Abyss feels about sending monsters to the graveyard. So just 3 Forbidden Droplets, no Foolish Burial in the deck. I don't think Foolish Burial is good at all, because like if I have a tour guide sitting on the field and they stop it, Foolish Burial doesn't extend for me, and Foolish Burial by itself does nothing in this particular deck. Moving on, we play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. If you guys cannot afford Infinite Impermanence, buy Infinite Impermanence. No, but all seriousness, Get Out is not a bad card. There's also another negating card, Titanociter. They're not trash cards. You're just at a huge disadvantage without Infinite Impermanence in this deck, just because it can set it to the side of the field and it is a potential free trap card. Next is 3 copies of Fiend Griefing. I was playing this at 2 at a point in time. Play it at 3. So when you do get stopped, you know, your opponent obviously ashes or, you know, effect village that tour guide. Fiend Griefing allows you to basically become a reinforcement of the army, as well as in the form of disruption, sending Scarm to the graveyard to essentially get tour guide, putting your opponent in a position to be able to force negate, like they either negate the Scarm, but you still get the disruption. This card literally trades advantage with your opponent. You get to disrupt them and they have to disrupt you by negating your Scarm. I love this card. Next is 3 copies of Lost Wind. That's why I didn't suggest it, because you have to play this card. This card's also amazing because it does negate that monster, but can also set itself. Unfortunately, it does not stop Dragoon, but it stops so many other problematic cards in the meta. 3 copies of Trap Trick. There's so many times where I don't like Trap Trick, but that's just because I don't like Trap Trick, but it's so good in this deck. 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. This card is you're out to the Dragoon combo, and it's also really good against the top decks in the meta. Ignoble Knight, Rocket, just anything that's really good in this meta, this card pretty much stops, and it's searchable in this deck. And 2 copies of Paleozoic Dynamiscus. This card is also a godsend for the particular strategy, but that is it for the trap cards. I think this is a grand total of 41 cards. One card I did really want to talk about is that I was testing this. I'm not sure if I want to play it and bump it up to 44, but the Red Eyes package, which consists of Red Eyes Fusion, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes B-Dragon. Now, there is logic to me not playing this. In a 40 card deck, the odds of you drawing one of your 3-ofs is 34%. I think in a 44 card deck, it goes down to, let's say for example, it even goes down to 20%. You go down to 24%, but our combo requires us to draw 3 cards. Every time you draw a card, you add 5% to it. So I go through my combo, which requires me to mill 3 cards, plus the 20%. That is a 35% chance that I would mill or draw one of these cards if I resolve the effect of Dante, which is a part of my critical combo, or I, you know, just draw it. So that's not good. In a 40 card deck, it bumps up to 49%, and that's just going first, which almost half of the time you'll be milling or drawing one of these cards. I did not feel that was good. I decided to drop it. At 44, I think it becomes a little better to play just because the odds are a little lower. I'm not sure if it's actually 20%, but giving you the odds at 20%, 35% is not great either, especially if you do go through deeper cards. So it is something that I consider playing. The deck does have the extra deck space and of course the main deck space. You guys play it at your own peril, but that also brings me why I don't play the PK engine. The PK engine not only requires you to divert from your going first play, which is IP Masquerade Beatrice. It's been tried and true. I don't think that there's any other board better than IP Masquerade and Beatrice other than Dragoon and Beatrice, because that's also amazing. But essentially, when you go through your PK play, you have to play at least 4 cards in your main deck and dedicate your resources to making the Rusty Bardish. Burning Abyss Phantom Knight is a dead concept. I hate to say it, but in this particular format, I feel that if you're going to play a Burning Abyss deck, the Trap Burning Abyss with Dragoon or without Dragoon is the best version. Moving on to the extra deck, I'm going to blaze through it so I can show you guys the almighty combo that wins you games, because Burning Abyss is a deck that wins in the battle of attrition. 1 copy of Access Code Talker, 1 Boral Sword Dragon, 1 Apollosa. I don't summon anything else except for Access Code Talker, to be real with you. You can swap these out if you want to. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. I summon the Living Daylights out of all 3 of those cards. 1 IP, of course you make it on the regular. 1 Cherubini, 1 Dante Pilgrim because I have the room, Beatrice is God. I do go through double Dante and the PK Breaksword, another card that you don't necessarily have to play, but sometimes it does come up. So as you can see, this is a 13 card extra deck. Some cards that you guys could play, of course, is that another Cherubini. You can also play the Hackler-Fibrix combo, not the normal Synchro combo because that's banned, obviously, but Hackler-Fibrix to spell summon Effect Veiler to go into Selene, which will make you an access code talker. The only unfortunate thing about this is that I only play 3 spells, so that's really reliant on the opponent. The Vert combo with the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, that's also really good. Strongly consider playing this. And Zeraboros with Crusadia Equimax, but that is it for the main board and the extra deck. Let me show you this combo that you'll be doing 90% of the game. So moving on to the super secret combo. It's not really super secret. So I had a teacher and a coach back in high school, and he always used to tell me something really simple. It's keep it simple, stupid. It was the KISS program. Mac knows all about it. It's the best program ever. Go ahead and say hi to everybody, Matt.
The KISS program is awesome.
and basically this KISS program is you keep things the most simplest way, especially if it works. There are so many like Burning Abyss variants that want to go into a Phantom Knights with a Predaplant Dragostapelia, or a Predaplant Vert Anaconda, as well as an IP Masquerana and a Shuttle Winda and Apollosa with 4 negates. And don't get me wrong, that's nice, but it requires multiple cards. Sometimes it requires multiple bricks in your deck, or cards that we don't have to play. And this particular deck gains the exact same result. I get into that battle of attrition, and even the best decks don't want to battle with a Burning Abyss deck that can float its daylights off. So the 1 card combo is Tour Guide from the Underworld. What you do is normal summon Tour Guide, use this effect to special summon Graph, Exceed summon with the Tour Guide in the Graph, taking you guys back to 2015. Nostalgia trip right there, using Graph's effect, using Dante's effect, detaching to send 3 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. These first 3 cards I found. Using the effect of Graph, you'll be able to special summon Seer to your side of the field. And now you have split play lines. I'm going to show you guys the standard play. You're going to link with your Dante and your Seer. You make that into an IP Masquerana. Now Chain Link 1 is going to be your Dante, Chain Link 2 is going to be your Seer, however you want to do it. Seer special summons Dante, Dante adds Seer. If you have a different Burning Abyss monster in your hand, such as Skarm, combo's even better, as you would pitch the Skarm to go into Beatrice, but this time around we'll pitch the Seer to go into Beatrice. And here's how you get immediately 2 disruptions, meaning that the 3 to 4 cards in your hands are other disruptions, and this will float. So basically what happens is Beatrice can send the Dante to the graveyard to pitch a card like maybe Farfa to get a free banish, as well as Dante's effect will trigger to get a Seer. You can also use IP to link off the Beatrice to go into a monster like Nightmare Unicorn, which is a 2nd disruption by discarding the Seer, but Seer's effect will trigger again to special summon the Dante. And look, we had 2 disruptions and lost no field presence whatsoever. We can still follow with some huge plays like using both of these monsters for a link summon into an access code talker, which will trigger Dante's effect to get the Seer again. How can you go wrong with this? This is the bread and butter. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Mishak is looking at me really angrily right now because that's how he lost. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you don't want to do it that way, I'm so mean with it. I'm gonna take the combo, do a whole nother scheme with it. We are gonna take that exact same Tour Guide play. Normal summon Tour Guide into Graph, use Tour Guide and the Graph for an Exceed summon into Dante, Traveler of the Burning Abyss. Dante detaching Graph, and by the grace of Arceus, you are not going to mill, that is the worst mill ever, you are not going to mill any of your Dragoon cards. Graph's effect will special summon Seer, use both Dante and Seer for a link summon. Summon your Predaplant Vert Anaconda, use both the effects of Dante and Seer, special summon add, pitch to the graveyard, and you'll be able to make your Beatrice. And now you use the effect of Predaplant Vert Anaconda, send your Red Eyes Fusion, pay 2,000 life points, fuse both of these cards into your Red Eyes Dragoon. Now, this particular combo is still really powerful, and I do like it, as Red Eyes Dragoon does give you a form of negation. You also get the Beatrice to be able to banish a card, but Dante, this time will get the Seer, of course, and Dragoon can pitch the Seer to special summon back to Dante, which can also follow up plays. Both of them are equally good. My only gripe is drawing or milling these cards. More importantly, just milling these cards because the combo is just dead. But that is it for the combos. I mean, I could show you a follow-up play because obviously if Seer's involved, yeah, you get Tour Guide from the Underworld. Let's say that all this is pretty much good and gone and, you know, you need another follow-up play. Well, your second Tour Guide of the Underworld that you did not see me mill, I milled this card. You summon this guy and you use his effect to special summon Graph to your side of the field. Tour Guide for Graph. Since we do have 2 Graphs in this deck, it's by the grace of Arceus we can do this again. Use the effect of Graph to be able to special summon Seer back to your side of the field. And now you can use the effect of Cherubini to be able to send your Skarm from the deck to the graveyard. The amazing thing is that Skarm will get you another Tour Guide from your deck to your hand, so you're prepared to go for yet another play. From here, you can use Cherubini and, Seer and the Cherubini for a Link summon. Link into Nightmare Unicorn. If you have a card, discard your card to be able to disrupt your opponent. Seer's effect will activate the special summon that Dante you had from the graveyard, and then you link these 2 guys off into the access code talker. That should be enough to go for a huge amount of damage, and depending on what other extenders you have, you can go for game. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been amazing sharing with you guys the Burning Abyss deck profile updated for the new September 2020 format. As we already know, September is the best month in the world, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And I'll catch you on the next video.